morning, good morning. I'm just doing a little adjusting here. Let me know if you're here this morning. I'm Jenny Eubank. It's good to be back, even if no one is here. I'm here and that's what counts. And I know you will be here as well at some point. We'll get started in just a moment. I've sort of lost my rhythm in this game here. Okay, back in the saddle. We'll start in just a moment. Welcome to the Sun and Moon Yoga YouTube channel. We're here every weekday morning from 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time for a little yoga. Alex is here on Sundays at that same time for some meditation. We still have a minute or two. We'll be starting in a seated position today. So you might want to get a blanket to sit upon. Remember that word, a sit upon? And that's pretty fitting for our lesson today. Onward and upward. It's March. Daylight savings times is in a couple of weeks. And spring is in the air. I can feel it. It's brighter. Vaccinations are out there and available, and I feel a real sense of hope and positive energy, optimism. And I'd like to celebrate that today with some good breath work. We want to focus on our breath today. So first things first, find a good stable seat. And you may want to be on a blanket. Root into your sits bones evenly, maybe kind of wriggle from sit bone to sit bone. And draw the belly in and lift your heart. And feel the ribs lift from your hips. I'm sitting in fire log legs, so my legs are not actually on top of one another. One is in front of the other. And that stabilizes my seat better for me. So you pick your stable seat, and here's a little trick I learned from Anne Jablonski. As you draw the belly forward and lift the heart and stabilize your seat, come forward and then come back onto your sit bones from the front. And see if that gives you a little bit more of a rootedness and groundedness, as well as that lift, that up and down, opposite energy. And place your hands on your legs somewhere, or your knees, preferably face down, so that you can reinforce the groundedness and the rootedness of your seat here. We'll take just a few quiet breaths here. Maybe close the eyes as you scan the body and further scan your stability as well as that lifting up from that stable ground. Notice your in-breath. Notice your out-breath. Notice them as separate entities from one another. The distinction between the inhale and the exhale. But also notice their relationship, how one leads into the other. You can't really have one without the other. What goes up must come down. Or in our case today, what goes down must go up. And as you continue to breathe in and out through your nose and feeling that lift, see if you might increase your inhales so that you take a little bit more time with the exhale. But also notice as you bring the breath into the body, it goes down. And then it goes back up. So I want to celebrate that action. Find that action in us. As you breathe in, the breath goes down into the belly and rises back up into the torso. See if you can intensify that action by taking longer inhales, deeper inhales, and longer, more emphatic exhales. Breath comes in and goes down, goes up, and then it goes back down as you let it go. Feel your whole body rise and expand in all directions. Feel that expansion in your rib cage, the fronts, the sides, the back of the body. Feel that lift in your heart. Cat has joined us. You might hear him meow. Stay just a few more breaths, maybe about a minute here. And continue to root and ground. And lift. And I used to think that every time I exhaled, I feel more rooted. And every time I inhale, I feel a little bit more lift. See if you can kind of make that opposite. As you inhale, feel a little bit more rooted. And as you exhale, feel a little bit more of an upward energy in your body. A little bit more of that lift. And as you're ready, let's bring the hands out to the sides. And continue to feel that lift and lowering and rooting, all with the breath. So that as you bring the arms up overhead, about it as bringing the hands up and not the arms. As you might lift a little bit too much with those shoulders. Sometimes I find that if I reach too high that it hurts my shoulders and my back. So see if you can find that lift with the breath, and the arms are just reaching up in that same direction as that breath. And see if that lends for a more soothing feeling, a more soft feeling in your shoulders. Kind of limit the reach. Contain it. And the next time the arms come up, just bring the right hand down. And root it into the floor. And really press into the floor with the hand and those sits bones. And feel that lift in your heart. And start to curve to the right. Nice, slow build up. So that we're not collapsing into our crescent moon here. We're building it from the ground, and we're adding a little bit more lift, more with the breath than with the reach. Take a few more breaths into that rib cage area and see if that increases the reach in your arm without straining your shoulder. Feel that shape occurring from stabilizing and lifting with that breath. And when you're ready, use an inhale to come back to the center and exhale that arm back down. And stabilize. Draw the belly in. Lift your heart. Take a few breaths here. And then as you're ready, lift the arms up with an inhale. And slowly exhale it down. And root into your foundation points, the sits bones, the hand, even the feet and the ankles. And start to press into those points to get that curve, that shape going. And put a little bit more lift in it with that breath. See if that breath helps you change, or maybe not change, but just intensify the shape. Next time you inhale, let's come back to the center and keep that heart lifted as the arm comes down. And then let's switch the cross of our legs and do it one more time each side. So first, stabilize your seat. Stabilize the core muscles in your torso by drawing the belly in, lifting the heart. Take a few nice deep breaths into your rib cage. Feel that lift. When you're ready, use an inhale to lift the arms up. Exhale the hand down. Take a few breaths here as you press into your foundation points. And start your curve. A little bit more into it. Maybe this time go a little deeper and actually rotate your shoulder a little bit and look up. Follow the lines of the lift. And as you're ready, use an inhale, come back to that neutral curve and then inhale back. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Take a couple of breaths to stabilize and ground and root. Feel that heart lift. Feel that expansion, that upward expansion and outward expansion. And we'll follow those lines with our hands lifting and one lowering to stabilize. You know what to do. Take your time, slowly building this arch. Finding that lift with the breath to increase the curve and increase the lift and length of your curve. And as you come back to center, let's do the same thing with some twists. So keep your legs in this position. We'll switch again on our second round. But continue to stabilize your seat. Draw the belly in and lift your heart. Find that expansion in your chest and upper back. And as you're ready, start to twist to the right. And bring your left hand to the right knee and your right hand to the floor behind you. And stabilize your stance here. And take a few of those thoracic rib breaths. And see if that upward energy helps you twist a little bit deeper. And continue to root into your foundation points. And notice if something as simple as breathing into your rib cage takes you a little deeper in your twist exploration. What is the experience here for you? As you're ready, keep that heart lifted and back off the leverage points with the hands and bring yourself back to center. Restabilize, belly drawn, heart lifted, and start to twist to the left. And now the left hand comes to the back, right hand comes to left knee. And once you have found your stabilized points here, find a lift in the heart with the breath. See if you can turn on that rib thoracic breath. And see where it takes you on this side. What's the experience here? Shoulders soft, neck soft. And keep that lift as you release those hands, your leverage points, and come back to the center. And take a breath or two to reconnect with your seat here. And then let's switch the cross of our legs, or which leg is in front and then back, in my case, in my fire log legs. And we'll do the same thing one more time on each side. So stabilize into the ground and into the core of your body. Find that lift. Take a few rib breaths, thoracic breaths. as you're ready, start to twist. Hands find where they want to be. And as you have reinforced a stable twist, then start to explore with that upward energy in your breath, creating that lift in your spine, giving you that ability to twist a little deeper. But don't rush it. Come back when you're ready. Stabilizing points are still there with you, and that lift is still there as you come back. Take a couple of breaths to restabilize. Continue that lift. And those rib breaths can help you find that lift. The start of your twist. The duration of your twist. And how far it takes you, or how far your twist can go. I didn't say that right. Keep the shoulders relaxed. As you're ready. Come back to the center. And then let's go into a cobbler pose. Bring the feet out and then connect them. And stabilize the 2 feet in their connection to one another, as well as your connection to the earth. And then put your hands somewhere on the legs to kind of close that loop, reinforce that groundedness. Belly drawn, heart lifted, and let's come forward just a little bit and find that lift in your heart with a few thoracic rib breaths. And come back to a more neutral seat from the front. Continue to stabilize into the floor, into the earth, and into your body as you find that lift and space and expansion. Thoracic rib breath. Breath comes into the body, goes down, and then comes back up and out. Increase that path that the breath takes. Increase the distance of that path. Shoulders and knees relaxed. Take a few more of those rib breaths. And notice what happens to your sense of groundedness, your knees, your shoulders. And then from here, let's do a forward fold. So root, draw the belly in, find that lift in your heart, and as you're ready, press into those foundation points, but keep your heart lifted as you come forward. You won't go very far. And let's take a few rib breaths here with the head still lifted. And then drop the head and take a few more of those rib breaths here. With your next inhale, lift the head again. And as you exhale, reinforce your grounded seat here. And take a few more of those rib breaths here. Bringing the breath down into the body and then back up, expanding the ribs. All directions. Find that space and height. And that can make it a little easier to make your way back to that original cobbler position. And we'll take a few more rib breaths here. Let's go ahead and extend the legs out. Maybe pick them up as you actually extend them out. Keep that heart lifted and the ribs lifted from the hips as you do that. And then go ahead and shake out your legs, shake out your knees. And then let's come into a table position. And maybe keep that blanket handy. Because you might want it for your knees. And we'll spend about a minute building a good table. Pay attention to the long lines, the wide lines. See if you can find a true flattish back there. And spread your fingers nice and wide. And for all intents and purposes here, we have a 6-footed table. 2 hands, 2 knees, and 2 feet right in line behind the knees there. Take your gaze. If your fingers are spread really wide, then the thumbs are kind of pointing towards the center. Look right where they're pointing towards to help you find a nice neutral neck and head. And soften your elbows. And take a few of those thoracic breaths, drawing the breath in through the nose, down into the belly, and then back up into the rib cage area. The front, the sides, the back. And notice if your spine is lengthening from that widening and expansion of the breath. And then as you're ready, with that nice long spine, let's take the spine, round it towards the floor into a cat position. And once you find a good cat, gently rock from front to back, maintaining that cat position. And we're not really rocking very far, just about an inch or so in each direction. And keep those 6 feet nice and stabilized and rooted and grounded to protect the movement, the joints in the back. And then come back to stillness and take 2 rib breaths. And as you breathe into the rib cage area, notice if anything changed about your cow position. As you're ready, straighten your spine back up into a table. Shake your hips from side to side. And then bring your hips to one side and look over the shoulder at them. And come back and do that on the other side. A little crescent moon here. Let's do it one more time on each side. Helps us neutralize our spine back to its natural shape. And then reconnect with your table. Fingers spread nice and wide. Find those 6 feet to make sure that you're really stable and grounded. And then as you're ready, maybe spend a few breaths finding that expansion in your spine, length in the spine, as well as width in your hips and your shoulders and your rib cage. Do that with your rib breath. And as you're ready, we'll curve towards the ceiling into a cat position. And once you're in your cat, do a couple of rocking cats here. And then as you're ready, come back to a neutral cat. And then take a few rib breaths into your cat. What's your experience here? What happens to your cat with all that lovely breath surging in and out of the body? And then as you're ready, come back to your table, your neutral spine. Shake out the hips a little. Bring them to one side and look over the shoulder at them. Do it both sides 2 times. And then come back to your table and bring the feet together in the back. Knees are a little wide, feet together in the back. Press into your hands to sit back on your heels and bring the forearms down to the floor, and then slide the elbows so they're right in front of the knees, making contact with the knees. And you're welcome to take a blanket and put a blanket between the hips and the heels. The heels are together in the back, and the knees are wide, forming a little tripod in the back. And then we'll form one in the front with the elbows in front of the knees. And then stack your fists in the middle and put your head on top of the fists. I call this tripod child. And after a couple of breaths, Maybe you want to start to separate your two tripods. Maybe the knees and the feet, or the elbows, want a little distance from one another. And that can help you expand and lengthen your spine. Lengthen the neck. Lengthen the tailbone. The sacrum. Up into your lumbar spine. Up into your thoracic spine, where all the ribs are attached. And then let's take our focus into breathing into the rib cage. And see if that increases the reach of your spine. And perhaps your tripod child's has evolved into something more interesting than from where you started. Let's take 5 more rib breaths into this pose. As you finish up your 5 thoracic breaths in your child's pose, notice any changes that may have happened. Before and after. And hopefully you were paying attention to the during as well. What happened while you were there and how you ended, and what does that do for you as you rise back up. And I will turn, and look how I turned and kept that blanket on my heels, so it's here for me as I've turned back. And we'll end in a nice hero's pose. And any kind of support for your hips and heels. Maybe put a block in between the thighs here and sit on the block, but we're not going to be here long. Just long enough to stabilize our pose and find that lift from that stable ground. And take a few of those thoracic breaths here. Breath into the body through the nose, down and back up and out. And as you do this, take your hands and put the thumb inside the fist there and hold them in front of your body. This is called Adi Mudra. And this represents the groundedness of our body and our connection to the earth. And continue to breathe into your rib cage area, finding that lift out of your stability. Release the thumbs and point them towards each other, but don't touch them. And this represents higher up in the spine, the sacrum, the wider part of the spine. Continue with your rib breaths. Shoulders relaxed. And turn the thumbs upward. This This represents the entire length of the spine. And notice if you're starting to feel more lift. Notice your thumbs are not completely straight, nor is your spine. And continue with your rib breath. Danda Mudra. And then as you're ready, turn the mudra, the thumb, out to the sides. This is Urdhvam Meridanda Mudra. This represents the upper part of your spine. Notice if you feel a little bit more of a lift just by rotating your hands out like this. It's really you're rotating your shoulders out, which brings that lift. A few more rib breaths here. Last couple, pay attention to the effects, the breath, and this mudra, and you're applying them simultaneously to your body. And as you're ready, release that mudra. Bring the hands to heart center. Take a few more thoracic breaths, breathing into the rib cage area to find that lift. May you be safe, may you be happy, and may you be free from suffering. Namaste. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that little practice. I'll be here every Tuesday from 10 to 10:30. And I'm Jennifer Eubank. I hope to see you again sometime soon. And have a lovely day. Thank you so much for being here. Whoop.